Hello, friends. How's it going? How is everyone today? I am so excited about this. We will just wait a second. I'm sure Katie will be here any minute and ask to join, and I will accept her. Let's see, request. Here we go. Oh, wait. I sent you a request now, Katie. Wait, it's been so long since I've done a live, you guys. Like, I don't even remember. Hi, everyone who's joining. Hello. Katie! Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Look at everybody here. Hey, guys.
I know. It's so good to see everyone. Hi. Well, thanks for joining.
I to start by saying your skin is so beautiful. I saw you post someone DM about that, and I was like, same. I wasn't even listening. I was like, look at her skin. It looks so
You're
good.
kind. You're kind. You know, I don't promote anything unless I'm like 100% in it. So I've done beekeepers and then that skincare. And listen, I know she was like a real housewife. Like, I understand people probably don't think the credibility is there, but she was in skincare like in the 80s, like way before being a housewife. Like, it's what helped build her empire.
Well, you got me on the beekeepers, the CBD honey, the nighttime honey. So now I need CBD skincare, I guess.
Listen, it's a little bit of an investment. All of it. It's a little bit of an investment. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Okay, good. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. So I'm excited about today. So I thought, I know some of your people are going to be here. And some of my people are, I think my people know who you are. Because I don't want to say my people. That sounds really weird. But, like, you know what I'm saying. That I think they know who you are because I talk about you a lot and, like, what a big influence you are in my life. And so, but just in case we have someone new, can you just kind of give us, like, a 3-sentence intro?
Yeah. So, and kind of to set us up for this conversation, too, I'll go just to 2019. So end of 2019, I sold my businesses. I used to own a magazine, and I also did coaching and courses. I sold it at the end of 2019. I'd gotten to a place, it was called Cottage Hill. I'd gotten to a place where it grew bigger than I expected. I started on my kitchen table, and I thought it'd be local, and it'd be so fun. And then it turned into a national, international, like, consistently sold out, which is kind of a big deal for a self-publisher. It was a great experience, but I got to a point when I had my second child that I was like, where I want the magazine to go and where it needs to go does not work well with what kind of mom I want to be while my kids are little. It just wasn't adding up in my favor. So I decided to sell it end of 2019, and then beginning of 2020, I was like, I'm going to start a new personal blog about, because we live on a farmette, a little hobby farm, about our sheep and the life here. And then that'll afford me, a few years while they're little to figure out what's next. I had like collaboration set up and all these plans. And then I went from like full-time entrepreneur to full-time homeschooling mom last year, not doing like any of what I had set out to do, and just kind of taking it, I was like, okay, God, this will be the year that I not work, because I had not worked since I was like 14. And then it just kind of kept going a bit, and I'm getting the itch to do something again. And then Jessica and I, as school is now back in session, have been catching up. I'm like, I'm at a weird, I need some advice. I'm in a weird place. And we'll get into it. But that's me. And that's where I'm at right now.
Love it all. Love it all. And Katie's obviously, like, there's a couple of people I go to for advice, and Katie's at the top of that list.
So I made all the mistakes.
No.
So I know better.
She's so freaking wise. She's better than Google. Aww. Like, I wrote a book, and I thanked you in the back. And I think I said, you're better than Google.
And saw it, and he was like, I bet you think that's the biggest compliment you ever got. And I'm like, it is.
It's the truth.
It means so much to me. I'm an Enneagram 5, so that's why I'm like, yes. But okay, I'm looking, and I see some of my friends on here. Do you want to do a quick little who's Jessica?
So I was a wedding planner, floral designer turned educator, podcaster turned author, speaker. And now I'm here. And so, no, it's really not. I mean, listen, we'll get into that.
It is a lot.
We will get into that.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the commonalities that you and I both have is pivoting. Like, we know when something no longer feels right. I actually had a meeting yesterday. I haven't told you about it yet, but where I was brainstorming with this person and we were coming up with ideas and everything. And there was this one idea that was like super lucrative. And I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I could, but I don't want to, because it's not like in alignment with me. And if I don't feel it like in my bones, I can't do it. I can't fake that, you know? And I think you and I have a little bit of that in common. But the whole reason why we are actually having this conversation live, because this is normally very private between Katie and I.
And you look like this, and I don't have nice lipstick on for y'all.
Yes, exactly. And all of that. But for those who don't know, over the past year, the pandemic, I was like, I'd written a book. I was supposed to go really heavily promote it. I had a publicist. We had a whole like TV media tour plan, book tour, and like I signed the contract with the publicist, and like a week later, everything got shut down. And so that was like just writing a big old $30,000 check and setting it on fire, you know, which is not the most fun. But it became clear that I was not going to be able to promote the book. And I was like, I can't just stay here. And so we sold everything, bought an Airstream, and we traveled for a year. And I had so much fun, and it was such a great time. And there was a lot of rest, but I called Katie several times throughout it, just frustrated, because I was like, I wish I could be a little bit more present. I'm still upset about the book.
Yeah.
And I'm still frustrated, and like, I don't really know where to go from here. And I know, because that was the thing for me, and maybe some of you feel this way, but for me, that wasn't something that I created. That was, for me, a calling. Like, I've never felt that before. I haven't felt it since. It was I've given you this, something bigger than me said, this is a story I've given to you because you're supposed to share it. And so while most people would probably have given up by now, and I think I even have some people in my life they haven't really like said that to me, but it's kind of like, well, what's next? You know, like, what else could we focus on? And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm not trying to be like a dog with a bone, but this isn't like a course that I created that isn't doing well. Like, this is so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And so, I'm frustrated. I was frustrated. I was talking to you about it. And then I also have a team of people, and I got to pay myself a salary, and also my team, I got to pay them their salaries. And I take that very, you know, I don't take that lightly. And so I call you and I say, listen, I have these 4 courses that I love, that are so, you know, I mean, listen, I know how good they are, and I know how helpful they've been. But I'm like, the whole, like, huge launch and like doing this big webinar and like all of those things, it doesn't feel like authentic to me, because where my heart is right now is all about resetting and really like figuring out what's next. And I want to speak vulnerably to women, and I'm preparing for a TED Talk in October, and I'm talking all about this, right? About like going into the darkness and like doing the work that you need to do to uncover your purpose and like all these things. And I just said, it just doesn't feel in alignment. But at the same time, we need to make money, you know? And so we need to sell some of these. And so I said, I just don't know what to do, because I can't fake that. And then we were just having this conversation, and you started explaining to me some things you're struggling with. And then you said, I don't think we're the only people struggling with this. Like, I think we should do this conversation live. And so that's why we're here.
Yeah. And well, and it's so interesting too. And again, just kind of reiterates the importance of having good community. I think that's one of the biggest things I noticed last year, not within myself, but obviously the world. We were in community like we used to be, and in good community. Because I remember when you would call me when you were on the road, and I was feeling similar, very parallel to how you were feeling. I was like, this is the year I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm going to let go of creative dreams for a while. I know I can get back to them. But I still felt that like tug and that friction and that, I'd rather be doing this than playing with bubbles. I'd rather be listening to this than Bubble Guppies. You know, it's like, I love my children. That's not the question here. The question is, like, there's a little void that needs to be filled, and I couldn't figure out the puzzle pieces. And I felt like for you, you know, and that's a contentment, that's a bitterness, that's so many layers into that.
Yeah.
And I had the same feelings with you, but with a different situation. And I started talking to my mom friends, started talking to my 9-to-5 friends. Everyone, especially after last year, and I hate the excuse of last year, but it did affect us. We all have these sort of feelings of discontentment, of bitterness, of fear, of apathy. And I was like, let's just break down our stuff, and I'm sure people will hopefully be encouraged, at least be validated.
Totally. So for me, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm kind of an all-in person. Like, I got to be all in or I'm all out. Like, I can't put one toe in the water. I'm full on swan diving in, or I'm not swan diving. I'm like cannonballing because I can't swan dive, but I'm in. And so I was like, I got to get out of this funk. Like, I don't know what is wrong with me, but I can't, like, I'm just like sitting in this like crater of self-pity. And like, that's not me. Like, that's not me. So like, let's, you have so many things to be grateful for and all of that. So like, and then you go through this thing in your head where you're like, you should just be grateful. Like, you should just be grateful. But it's like, you know what? No, there's something going on that I got to figure out. And so for me, I was like, instead of just sitting in here, I got to do a reset. Like, I got to do a drastic reset. And that had to do with even like, I'd gained about 15 pounds on the Airstream journey, because who wouldn't? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm at this place and it's like the best taco place in the country. I'm going to eat the tacos. You know, like, that's just how I felt. And so I had, you know, I'd gained about 15 pounds. I just was like, I got to get real clear on what I want to do for the next 6 months. Cause I look at my life a year at a time, and then I break it down into, cause I'm still living in school land because of kids, but it's like spring semester, fall semester, summer, and Christmas. Like, that's how I look at my life. And so I was like, what do you want to do fall semester? Like, let's get this together. And so my reset that I'd kind of just come up with myself, I had talked to one of my best friends about it, and I love her, God love her, but she said to me, what did she say to me? It was something like, you know, there were ambitious people who hiked.
Oh yeah.
What's that mountain?
Everest.
Yes, Mount Everest, and they're dead, you know, so maybe calm down a little. Like, that's what she said. And I was like, okay. And this is how I am. By the way, I love her. And of course I knew that would be a response, but I am a person who doesn't believe in no. I don't, like, if I get a no from someone, I'm talking to the wrong person. So I was like, calling Katie. So I call Katie and I'm like, here's what I'm thinking.
I'm the best.
This is my reset. Not to make you feel like you were my second call, but I'm sorry. But, you know, I called her. She put me down. Then I call you. And I'm like, Katie, I'm like, here's my reset. What do you think? And you go, I think that's great. It's going to be hard, but like, I believe in you and I see why you're doing it. And like, I think, and I was like, this is wonderful. Cause I said, I kind of am going to need a little accountability, because I can't depend on Brian, my husband, because he's the worst. Like, when it comes to food, I'll be like, Brian, I'm going to eat clean all month. I'm going on a cleanse. And he's like, yeah, I'm there for you, babe. And then the first day I'm like, it's 7:00 at night and I want pizza. And he's like, yeah, you should eat some. Like, you've done great all day. Like, eat some pizza. And I'm like, no, that's not helpful. So you really encouraged me with the reset. And I've now been doing it for 2.5 weeks, and I have so much more clarity. And I feel
pathetic.
Say what?
You already have high energy, but on our last like call, I was like, she's awake.
Yeah, awake. And you sometimes, I think people a lot of people, because you and I both kind of polled people, and we said, like, you know, what do you want to talk about, or what are you struggling with? I just feel like a lot of people are in the fog. They're in the fog that I was in most of last year, that you've been in, or, you know, and it's like at some point, and you have said this to me before, and I was like, whoa, antennas up. You have to be responsible for your own
everything,
emotional well-being.
Well, and so to like rewind, I'm a pretty private person, but I get really rattled by other people's pain. I mean, I don't communicate it. I'm the kind of person that will cry if someone you love doesn't ever tell you. I'm like privately empathetic. And so when things in the news would happen, it would just, any idea, anything to put myself back on track, whether it was just having a more healthy routine, because I had no idea how to do stay at home longer. I didn't know how to start my days without work. I was like, I don't know, let's wear pajamas. I don't know. Like,
right.
A while. So any progress in either an idea or just day-to-day life, something happened in the news that would just hurt me, and it would take me a while to get over it. And then a lot of other people, I can't launch because I'm just so sad, and I agree that there is a time to be, I mean, you should, I mean, things that are going on should make you absolutely overcome with sadness, but I really enjoy David Goggins. I'm not sure if you're familiar. This is why I said yes to your reset. I believe in extremes a little bit, and to each is like what works for you will not someone else. Just disclaimer there. But David Goggins is very like no excuses. Listen to his book on audio. It'll change everything. But I was like, there is a place, no matter what's going on in the world, looking at history, looking at people who've gone through much more difficult things, there's always a place to find joy alongside pain. There's a woman I follow, Paula Hillhouse Vintage. First, like way side tangent. She's the cutest thing in the world. She does these little like photo shoots in her chateau in England, has these cute dresses. Anyway, people were like, why aren't you talking about current events? And she had this really great post. I'm not going to try to paraphrase because it was so great. But basically she was like, beauty is important. Sharing joy alongside pain is important because those are the reasons for us to live.
Yes.
And I remember as a dancer, there was a dancer who defected from Russia during Soviet Union and all that crazy time. And she would get down because she's like, I'm just a ballet dancer. Like, this doesn't matter. And someone told her, they were like, beauty can save the world. It's important to show up, not just creatively, entrepreneurially, but for your, I'm like, we're not thriving with bubble guppies and pajamas. This was not, I had intended, like, I want to do these things, I want to live this way. So when you were calling me last year and you were just so eager to solve the problem, it was so encouraging to me to take my own medicine and what I had learned and known from admiring people like Goggins, people in history. You have to take responsibility for your emotional well-being to live. Yeah. You have to take responsibility for your emotional well-being, your traumas, your whatever, because it is vital for you to live your life and not sit in your life.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to have millionaire dreams. You don't have to do all the stuff that verbiage usually comes with. But I mean, that's the difference between making a bowl of cereal and actually making my favorite omelet. Like, that's the difference between recognizing that I am in season and creative dreams can come later than being bitter about it. Does that make sense? And that's what I saw you exemplify, which encouraged me to be like, okay, if Jessica's doing it, I can do it, even on my scale.
Yeah, I think it's so encouraging. And if I had a freaking heart button, I would have hearted it the whole time because it's so good. And I think, you know, that's a really kind way of saying it. Katie's a little gentler than I am in approach, and I love it. For me, I think it also is like there's a laziness, complacency. It's easier to do nothing. You know, it takes work to get up and to change. because nothing changes until something changes. And it's like, again, we can continue to sit and go, oh, this last year sucked. And it was really hard. And look what it did to me. And look what it did to you can do that. You keep doing it. Or you can say, okay, no more. Like, I'm done talking about it. I'm done talking about it. That can still be happening or whatever, but I can still take care of me. Yeah. And whatever that means. And I think sometimes people just need a push. And like, sometimes you have to do it yourself. Like, sometimes you have to go, there's no one else for me to talk to about this. And that's kind of how, you know, of course I could talk to you, but at the same time, like, you don't know everything I need. So like, that took me sitting down and get it with a piece of paper and saying, what do I need to do right now? Like, how am I going to get to my best self? Because when I am my best self, I'm so much clearer. Like, I'm able to really go, oh, that's what I need. Oh, that's what I don't need. Oh, that's what I'm saying no to that. I'm saying yes to that. You know what I mean? And I was even able to tell yesterday when I had that meeting, I was like, a couple of weeks ago, I might have said yes to that, but I'm so clear now. Like, I know that that's not what needs to happen in the next 6 months.
So, yeah, I feel like I had so many, this is me too. I can't pursue this dream because I don't know where the economy is going to go. Valid point. Great excuse.
Great excuse. Great excuse. Yes, great excuse.
I'm so sad about the news. Me too. Let's donate. Let's do something that we can do to remedy, but it's also a great excuse to not put on lipstick. you know, all of these things. So, you know, Erin, a Florette.
Yeah. When I love her.
She ever said to me was, no one is coming to save your day.
No one.
And no one is coming to, I'm not going to get political, but no politician, no influencer, no person is going to come into your life. I lived this way. I was like, I don't have any childcare at all. I have no help. I had no help. I don't have like all these things to do what I felt was a very reasonable goal of having like part-time work, part-time stay at home. When? No one is coming to take my kids for me, to let me. So I have to be my own hero and set them up outside while I study what I want to for what I want. No one is coming to give you the money to start your business.
Right.
No one is coming to make you feel better and get you in a better and emotional state so you can do your dreams. You have to figure out your own, you have to solve your own problems. And you can. But you have to do something drastic. So like when you brought up the reset, the reason why I wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's so, well, first of all, I'm a former ballerina, and if you can get through professional ballet, you can get through anything.
Yeah.
But secondly, I'm like, you have been in this state and you have to do something drastic to get out of that state.
Yeah.
I mean, it's science, it's simple, it's how things are. And so, yeah, I think you may need to do something drastic within healthy boundary reasons for yourself to get out of that. Sure.
Yeah.
Do it.
And yeah, for 2.5 weeks I have, and it just is already so much better, so much clearer. And something I want to touch on that you said was, first of all, I love the meme that says, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Where is there like a number? Like, where is this village? I love that meme. It makes me laugh every time. Because no, it's, you got to do it. And I love what you said about, no one's coming to save you. At the end of the day, you are responsible for you. You're responsible for you. And you have got to go, what do I need? And you get a choice. You get a choice, like just like I get a choice, and everybody gets a choice. You can choose. I can continue to sit in this and wallow and hope that somebody's going to come and like miraculously save me. Spoiler alert, that's not happening.
No.
Or you can go, you know what? I'm going to get myself out of this. Like, it's your responsibility. And I think when you finally, like, that was a big thing that changed for me, is when my husband got ill and I had to go, oh, shit, like I am not only responsible for me, like I'm responsible for all these people, and I got to get it together.
And having twins, right?
Yeah, it was 6 weeks after having twins. And so I had a 2-year-old daughter. So I could have been like, sorry guys, I can't, like I got these babies and I can't, but that I didn't have that option. And I think when your back is against a wall, like you don't really know what you're capable of doing. But for me, like I had to do this. And so I kind of don't, I understand when people sit in something, but I'm kind of like, okay, step out of it. Now it's time to get it together, because you can continue to sit and waste your life, or you can, what you said earlier, you can make some decisions to live your life. You can choose to do a drastic reset like me, or you can do something little every day.
Drastic, and you could be small. I mean, drastic could be not going to Chick-fil-A every week. I mean, drastic could be waking up for your family. Drastic could be, okay, hold on. Audra asked something, and I want to, because this was one of my issues, that you had a story I want you to share, and I also want your thoughts, because you're like the mompreneur queen. So Audra was saying that she has no childcare. They're with you 24/7. Like, can't even have find time for yourself. So I felt that because I went from full-time entrepreneur to full-time stay-at-home mom. And then 2021 comes and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this blog. I did 2020. I had my time. I want something part-time creatively. And wouldn't you know it, the girls do not sleep. They have not slept all year. They come downstairs. My 2-year-old climbs out of her crib, scares me half to death, and go plays in the kitchen at 2 a.m. Like every night. I have not slept in a year. I feel like I have no brain cells to make any good decisions, any creative decisions. I'm overwhelmed. I thought I had like this figured out. I was going to wake up early and like just shot. And on our, we didn't like talk about it, but on our call last, I was like, this is my algebra problem, Jessica. I just want a time creative outlet that brings in some money, just so I can pay for those things. But I don't want to be bitter at my kids that are going through, like, I don't want to wait anymore, but I don't want to be bitter at my kids. And Afghanistan happens, and it's very easy for me to just be sad and be like, well, I should wait. You know what I'm like?
Yeah, totally.
Other people, I felt the same way. So I want to know your thoughts. And I also want to know, there's two people. There's the ones like me that want the creative outlet. And then I have the friends that are like, we have to make money, but I can't.
Right.
I want.
Sure. Okay, here's my answers, and you may not like them, but this is what it is. Okay, so my first response to that is, so a magical fairy isn't just going to come and like make this available for you. Like it's not just going to come, as we all know. So you have to look at this. Like, I'm a dreamer, but in this situation, we have to be real realistic. Like, the reality is, you have a 2-year-old who is crawling out of her bed. Like, okay, so this is the reality. I also come from a place, for those who don't know, where my sister died when I was young. And so I think that my opinion comes from a place of life is short, even though we know days are long and we still get to live a long life and all of that. I kind of am able to frame some things a little from a different perspective. I am not one who can sit on the floor and play blocks with my kids. I just can't do it. Not wired that way. I can't do it. And I don't apologize for that. It's who I am. I am a good mom in other ways. The two things I want to say is, number one, I don't know if anyone on here is familiar with Athena Calderon. She's an interior designer, a very well-known interior designer. She now, she doesn't have enough time in the day to do all the collaborations that people want to do with her. I mean, you know, I'm talking like Gucci and, you know, J. Crew and like, just big names. She had a little boy, and she said, who is now a teenager, but at the time I remember reading something that she said, and it was, I wish I had a crystal ball that would have shown me 8 years from now. Yeah. When I was in the thick of like the toddler years and the blocks and the diapers and the, you know, all of that, the naps and the cleaning up the milk and all that. Like, I wish I'd had a crystal ball that would have said, oh, look, Athena, in 8 years, you are going to be featured in Architectural Digest. They're going to be coming to you, asking you design advice. You're going to write a cookbook. You're going to write a design book. This is just 8 years away. So right now, be a mom.
You've
got your whole life to do that. You got a few years to be here with this kid at this littleness.
And when you told me that story, I teared up quite a bit because I know, and we all do, we know this, but I personally will I'll get an idea and I'll feel like maybe I can pursue it. Or if I don't, I'll feel lazy. 'Cause like I said, I've worked since I was like 14. I had a job or I was doing, and to not do something, and that's something I have to work with, feels lazy. And I'm not figuring it out well enough. Like I'm just I'm not doing it right to make this happen. And that's something for me to work with. And I just share that vulnerability because I know others feel the same way. But that story meant a lot. And I was telling Nate about it. And he was like, well, you always said that your 40s were going to be your prime, like Martha Stewart.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think if you look at a lot of people, to be honest, like when like women that you admire, whatever, when they became successful, it's like in their mid 40s or even 50s. Like, so we have time, I mean, at least you and I do, I mean, I don't know the demographic of everyone on here, but even if you're older, I'm always like, don't put yourself on a shelf.
Right.
Like, we still have a lot of life.
Yes. And that story was such a good reminder because it was something I knew when I sold my business. Yeah. So I knew I wouldn't start a new business for a few years. But then you get that, I'm like, oh, but I feel lazy. Oh, but I have all these ideas. And they could be really, the whole what's lucrative and what's worth it.
Yeah.
And you can forget that. And you can look to the left and right, which I have, and see people, grow on Instagram or create these collaborations who have children like me. And I'm just like, oh, I'm not doing it right.
Yeah.
All the things. And it was such a good focus that I'm not in a place where I financially have to work. It's for a purpose.
Yeah.
I can do something small, insignificant, and let my career success be later so that my mom's success can be now.
Yes.
And I need it plastered on the wall for whenever I forget. Because I love my at least it was
totally. It's not a question ever of do we love our children or do we, it never is. But it is, I honestly think I think two things. I think number one, our society, the way that we have been conditioned is if you're not doing something, you're lazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So to just snuggle on the couch and watch Dora or, Sophia or whatever feels lazy to us. When in fact, it is only showing our children security and love and building their confidence. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes it really is, how can I reframe this? I say that every time I have to do a load of laundry. I'm like, ugh, gotta freaking do this laundry. And then I'm like, no, you know what? I get to do laundry. And after a year of living on the road, I'm like, do you have any idea how grateful I was? Like, have a washer and dryer in my home or to have a dishwasher. Like I just am like, oh, I get to do laundry. I am so blessed to have a washer and to have a dryer and to have healthy kids who can wear these little tiny clothes that are so annoying to hang up, or whatever. Like, it's reframing.
Yeah.
There's that. And then I also think that, I wrote something down. Oh, here's the other thing I think. So not just are we conditioned that that's laziness, and you really do have to realize, like, let me know what's the truth.
Well, and there is laziness in stay at home. I mean, there's laziness in everything.
Yes.
But, go ahead. But
there's also hard, and what's the right hard.
Yes.
It's hard to just sit there and watch your child draw.
Yeah.
It's also hard to try to half-ass start a business while you're trying to be a mom just during this little tiny toddler stage. But what's the right hard?
Right.
So exactly. I think that's a question. But then for those of us who are lucky enough to have a partner, I think it's really important because once again, I think that we are conditioned as women to just take on kind of everything. And I think it's really important to sit down and to write out all the things that you're responsible for, all the things that you're doing, and then kind of go over it. Like, I think your spouse needs to see it. Like, there's times where I'll be stressed, and Brian will go, it's all gonna work out. I'll go, you want to know why it's gonna work out?
Make it work out.
I'm gonna make sure it works out. That's why it's gonna work out. But when I take the time to go, here's everything on my list.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian now does the grocery shopping because like, it's just, so I think that is sometimes part of it too. I think sometimes, because this is how it was years and years ago, if you have someone working and someone staying home, then everything else is dependent on this person. And that really shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. And putting my coaching hat back on,
put it on. It's my favorite hat you wear.
That I have done well in regards to like all of this with marriage, and that I remember when I was coaching, what people frequently did not do, is tell your spouse what you want to do. And that seems pretty straightforward, but there were so many women I would talk to who were like, these are my dreams, these are my goals, this is what I want to do in a day, this is what I want to accomplish. And I'm like, oh, what does your husband think about it? Well, he doesn't know. Well, how are you going to get it done?
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna, like, if your partner in life doesn't know what you want for your future, like, how are you gonna accomplish any of that? Especially going back to if you're doing the stay-at-home mom thing and it's a creative, like, the more I talk to Nate about what I want to do, even though small within this time, just to keep my creativity level engaged, the more I tell him, the more he wants to help me, because he's excited for me and he wants me to thrive. And everyone in a loving relationship is like that. Yeah. And so you share, and also he can trouble, I'll tell him an idea and he's like, you don't have time for that.
Right.
Like, you can do this and this, and I know I can help you with that, but let's wait 2 more years. Like, and you'll be great. You'll have your Martha Stewart moment. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's so, not just for them to help you, but it makes them excited and want to see you.
Yeah. Communication is really everything. I also love, oh gosh, what did you say a second ago? So what I also think is really great is when, and I think sometimes we get discouraged, and I know I was feeling this way, like on the Airstream, because I'd get an idea and I'm like, well, there's no way I can really execute that right now. There's no way I can, and I would get frustrated.
Yeah.
And it's like, instead of getting frustrated, I had to reframe and go, you know what? I'm so grateful that that creativity is still there. Like, that's just a reminder that I'm still creative, or that I haven't lost me. Like, I'm still here. Even though I'm really having to, like, take care of my family right now, I'm still me. My ideas are still here. And I think there's power in just writing the idea down. Like, not having to do anything with it. There's power in just writing it down. And then it's kind of like, okay, I'm not going to forget that.
Well, and also, we talk a lot about scarcity mindset when it comes to like comparing ourselves to others. But I remember speaking at a conference, and I was showing some pictures to a friend who's like a big influencer. And she's like, why aren't you posting all this? And why are you private? Like, why aren't you sharing, or doing all this? And I told her, I was like, for a few reasons, but I have a practice where if something beautiful happens, sometimes I won't take a picture. Sometimes like a perfect moment, like I was on a set for the magazine, and I would not take the picture because there's that quote by Audrey Hepburn, to plant a garden is to believe into tomorrow. And I would always thought to not take the picture means I know a beautiful moment will happen again. To like not like you said, the fact that it's coming in your head means that you will get more and even better ideas down the road, and you don't have to live in scarcity of your own ideas. And that's super easy for me to coach 2 years ago, very hard to practice last year.
Sure.
But it is what it is. It's absolute truth.
Yeah. I think the other piece of advice that I would give is, if you are someone who is able to find even like 4 hours a week, of childcare, I do believe that if you could get more accomplished in a 1 day, like 4 hour block, than you can trying to do something every day.
Yes.
like with your kids. Like it's just not going to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I believe in a daily creative practice. So you're doing artist. I got you on Artist Way. For those of you who haven't done, that's a whole other conversation.
Yes.
Julia Cameron, old school, super awesome. I do believe in an everyday creative practice, but even if it's just like I'll write a blurb in my notes, or if I like just kind of documenting or just trying something a little different or new each day. But I completely agree. I have starting next week or the next 2 days a week where I get 4-hour blocks, and managing that time is going to be not necessarily the challenge, but the trick this fall into balancing what all of I want to do. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, I do. I just think, and then I also think if you really, really, really want something, you'll figure out a way to make it happen. So what is it that you could eliminate that could afford you a babysitter for 4 hours 1 day a week?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you don't go out to eat, all the time. Or maybe you don't, which, my kids just kind of live off of like goldfish from the pantry. Listen, if someone has failed in an area, it's me. But I think, or you can, do you need all the subscriptions? What is it that you can like go, you know what, I don't need that. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice to get where you want to get or to achieve what you want to achieve? And if you really feel like you have something that you want to just like get out creatively, then you've got to buy yourself the time to do that. Your kids don't deserve, in my opinion, a mom who's like, hang on, honey, I'm trying to paint. Hang on. Like, they don't. So don't try to do that in front of them. Like, figure out what you can sell or do something to get some help so that you can have that time. And then when you're with them, your eyes are going to light up and you're going to be excited to see them, because if you try to work with them present, you're going to become resentful of them. And you don't want to be a mom who becomes resentful of your kids.
No. And when I took a blog course last year just to like refresh myself, and I asked the course person who has like many children, younger children, and I'm, how you don't have any childcare, you do all the things, how on earth do you get any of this done? And she's like, well, every afternoon for 2 hours they all rest. And I'm like, hold on, how do we do that?
How do we do that?
I'm like, hold on, mine don't sleep through the night and we have not napped in a year. So what are you talking about? And I kept hitting these like barriers of figuring these things out. And sometimes you just need to talk to someone who's like, I always tell the joke of my daughter, like, a ball rolls away when she was 1 and she'd cry, and I'm like, just open your eyes and look over there, the ball's right there. Sometimes you need someone else to grab the ball for you and say, hey honey, this is easy, let's fix it, come on, let's go. Importance to have community and stay in touch no matter what's going on in the world, for one.
Right.
So everything can be okay. Can we switch to the other side?
I want to say one more thing about just like getting started real quick. There's that story, I love it so much, for people who are like, I don't really know what to do. Like, I know I want to do something, but I don't really know what I want to do. I love, love, love the story of Ina Garten. So back in a previous life, when I first got married and I was working at a kitchen store, I bought every one of Barefoot Contessa's books, and I have cooked every single thing that she's ever made. That's what I did. Every night I'd cook a new recipe. Awesome. And Brian and I ate very well for those first couple of years. But she sold her specialty food store called Barefoot Contessa. And, I think about you sometimes with this story, because like, you sold a very successful magazine. You sold a very successful course that had so much of you in it. You created these things, right? And then you sell it. And it's like, you don't necessarily know what you're going to do next, but you knew that that was the right thing. Like, she knew that that was the right thing to sell Barefoot Contessa's specialty food store. But she was like, I don't know what to do next. And her husband said, well, you don't want to like lose those recipes. So why don't you just like make a cookbook, even if it's just for us here at the house, and we'll like go down to the print store and bind it, but just so like you have them and you don't ever forget those. Like just, it'll give you something to do.
Yeah.
And little did she know that like, and at first she kind of resented the idea. She was like, I don't want to sit, I'm used to cooking. I don't want to sit at a computer and type out recipes. But she got into it, and then she published it and sold it at that store, and then it went big, and then she had the TV show and everything. So you just never know. It's like sometimes to get work, you have to start working. Yeah. You just have to start. Yes. It's easier to find work when you're working. It's easier to get money when you're making money.
Yeah. I breeds clarity.
Yeah.
And I remember people are saying, you have to get clear to know what you want to do. And I'm like, absolutely not. You have to go do the things.
Yes.
To do the ones you want to do. And if that means like trying a bunch of different creative things, if that means having like years of wandering, you know, if you're in the place to afford to do that with your family, then embrace it. Especially because it's hard. Okay. So then I would get, the other side of my people, and it also aligns with the people you were talking with, is I have no childcare, I have no money, and we need to make money. Coming from a creative background, entrepreneurial background, or not, I just can't figure out how to bring income for my family. And putting my coaching hat on, I'm not calling anybody out, but 9 times out of 10, the reason why you can't make money is because you won't let go of the creative ego and aesthetics and how it looks to take a part-time job and how it looks to do things that will make you money but not look. I worked, in order to start Cottage Hill, 4 jobs. I was a Pilates instructor. I worked at Banana Republic. I put up chairs for a wedding planner. And I wrote as much as I could for bloggers. 4 jobs until I could afford to invest in creating a magazine.
Yep.
I do not want to do that again. But I knew that was what was required to bring income for our family and support the dream.
Yeah, I think you have to be real honest, because so people will go, okay, well, how do I, with like no money, how do I start, buying ads to like get people to my website or whatever? And I'm like, well, you have to have money, you know? And so the truth is, even if people don't want to hear this, like a business takes money. You have to have working capital. So maybe you have to go get a loan.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've done it every time that my business took off. It's because I went and got a loan to give me enough working capital so that I could do what I needed to do, so that I could make the business run. You're not going to sit there and like build some 7-figure or 6-figure business or bring home some big income with, starting out with $5. I mean, I don't know, maybe somebody can. I haven't been able to do it. I don't know anyone who's been able to do it. So it's like, let's get real. Does your family really need to make money? If you need more money, are there things that you can stop paying for?
Yes.
Are there things that you can do differently? Or if you just need to make money, what you said, ego aside, there's a million virtual assistant jobs. You know what I mean? There's all these things. So is it that you want to make money, or is it that you, in your heart, need to make money because that's going to make you feel more you? Or do you see all these other people on the gram being a mom and rocking their business, because that isn't true all the time? You know what I mean?
And having been a business coach, I know a lot of secrets and a lot of behind the scenes of people. So I know that that's not what's seen is not always true, and not in a malicious way, just, keeping faith.
No.
But
I mean, there's some people that you are seeing with some of the best ads, and you think that they are just killing it. And even maybe some of their ads say 7-figure income or what? Like,
no, I knew a lot of people's income that didn't match
their ads.
Some of the implications, and not to again be malicious or call people out.
No, it's just
confirm that if you see that, it's not always as it seems.
Right. Exactly.
I would like to give validation, because I had someone a long time ago shame people for having expensive hobbies. And it made me so angry, because I was like, if they can afford to have an expensive hobby and they just want to make the money to pay for that expensive hobby, it's okay.
Yeah, totally.
And you don't have an Instagram girl boss to explain or validate that thing.
Right.
I just like give
yeah,
that.
Totally.
You want you don't have to be a big business figure girl boss to have an expensive hobby that is a business that just helps pay for what you want to do, whether it's that hobby or, you know, like, as long as you're being financially savvy and responsible, you can just keep doing that.
Yeah,
because
totally.
Like, well, I want to be this, but I have to be this level in order for it to count.
Yeah.
I'm
and also, I always want, because can I tell you what I think this all really boils down to? Because, I mean, I think we've given some really good, like, advice and, like, here, da-da-da-da-da. What I believe this all really boils down to is self-worth. I'm sorry?
And responsibility.
Yes. Your net worth is going to reflect your self-worth. Like, I just really believe that. And my friend Jessica Zweig said that once, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, you just hit the nail on the head. Like, that is so true. I believe that inside all of us, there is a purpose, and that purpose can change, you know, as we grow and evolve. But we're never going to find it if we don't uncover the crap that we've spent a lifetime putting on top of it. And I think sometimes that might mean, you know, for me, it's meant going to therapy every single week. For me, for years. It has meant realizing that I am my own person. I'm not just my parents' daughter. Like, I am actually responsible for my life. I don't have to be responsible for theirs. I can move away and they're going to be okay. I can, I've been able to go, I don't need these people in my life. Like, they're not building me up or getting me where I want to go. I can reach out to people. I mean, I reached out to you a few years ago because I was like, she just seems like somebody I need in my life. Is that awkward and weird? Yeah, it is. It is. It's weird to just reach out and go, hi, we live 3 hours from each other. Could we meet in the middle and have lunch? But what was so cool is when we did that, my favorite thing is you sat right down and you go, okay, go. Like, and I loved it because it was like, we don't have to do any of that BS cocktail conversation. We just get right to it, to the heart. And that's why you and I connect so well. But I think so many people, they just need to, what work is it that you need to do? Because why is it that you feel like you need, what's the why behind why you want what you want? And I think you even gave a really great example one time talking about why you pin what you pin. Do you remember this? About, like, you pin a house, and is it the house you want? Or
yes. So it was about mood boards, because
we differ.
We agree, but we disagree, but we agree about mood boards. And for me, a mood board, a vision board is all about how it makes you feel, because I think sometimes if you marry a very specific product or thing, you can be setting yourself up for a letdown. So instead of getting caught up in, like, whatever, the white farmhouse on land, like, what does that white farmhouse on land make you feel like? And so therefore, if when the time comes to attain that, it might look, I mean, I expected to, when I went to college in Oklahoma, I told my mom the day we signed up or whatever, that the day I graduated, I was going back to New York. I was a dancer. I had been in New York. I had friends that were agents in, like, television, and I was like, sorry, but I'm doing that. 3 weeks after I graduated, I married Nate, moved to Tulsa, lived behind a Bass Pro Shop. Like, and I would not want it any other way. But what I loved about dance and what I loved about this life is very parallel. I love storytelling. I love beauty. It can be found, and I can create a new dream that's tied to those feelings here. So I think when you're talking about reset and uncovering your crap and all of that, don't get so tied to the materialistic aspect. Like, that's fine. Like, if it motivates you, like, put a Mercedes on your vision board, whatever. But really think about, like, why you need to feel certain things, or what it is that motivates you, or what it is that, I don't know, just gives you that gut instinct to do something, to live.
Yeah.
I'm not living between that pain and joy of life.
Right. Oh, so good. Okay, and so now I'm going to give you the thing that, like, I feel like me and like some of our some people who follow me were saying that they were struggling with, and you give us your coaching hat. Keep it on. It's my favorite hat that you wear. Okay, so I think, by the way, that is my absolute nightmare to live behind Bass Pro Shop. I just want to throw that out there.
It was a shirt. I was not for that. Anyway.
I love it. I love it. So I think that people are struggling with, like, what do I do if I have somebody who said, what do I do if I've been working for years on this business and I'm killing myself and it's taking all my time, but I'm still not making money? I think that's a frustration. What if people have been in this business? And I think, I come from a wedding background, so we might be talking about some wedding people, but what if they've been doing it and it's such a grind, and they want to get out, but they don't know what else to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, what do you do if you had a plan for something and it isn't going as planned? Like, how do you know when to let go of it or to be a dog with a bone and just keep going? Like, when do you know?
I think so much of the answer is dependent upon, like, only you can, like, no coach can tell you. Because you know yourself best. But when we briefly talked about it, a phone call or two ago, because I've seen this too, where people who I know who have started their business back when I had Cottage Hill, and was not making the money they imply, or they're just super tired, or they just don't like the wedding industry anymore, which after last year I totally get. The only three things that I think you can consider is to sell it, to scale it, or to keep your chin up. And the third one is a very kind of tough medicine, but some people, I think you got to keep your chin up. So even if it's not making money, I can bet you can find some value in your business to sell it, some sort of assets. This is why I always tell people starting a business, make sure it's sellable, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if someone gets sick. You need money fast. It is an asset for you to take advantage of. Don't get too emotional. Like, put your heart in it and don't get too emotional. All those things. If it's just if your heart's not in it anymore, but it's making money for your family, and it's like taking care of your team and all of that, you got to find a way to scale. If you don't have money for that, you got to figure that out, whether it means taking a risk by
taking a loan,
or if it means pivoting or whatever that is. And then some people, I hate when I have to say this, but some people I think you need to get your chin up and find some gratitude and contentment in what you have. And I hate to generalize and say you should be grateful for what you have, because that can apply to everything. But I think some people forget how good they have it. And maybe they need a perspective shift. Maybe they need to, I don't know, volunteer or do some charity or do something.
Or change the people they're hanging out with.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that makes a world. There was a time when I was in the creative world where I did not like being in the creative industry, and I was so bitter and so annoyed. And it all had to do with who I was listening to complain about things. And then when I changed who I took advice from, and they were saying how they were thriving and it was great, I was like, so glad you said that. It makes a world of difference. But those are your only three options.
Yeah, totally.
And it's to sit.
Yeah.
That's not living.
But if we do nothing, nothing changes. So you really do have to look at that. And again, it just kind of goes back to yourself and what, because you are responsible for you. No one else is responsible for you, just you. So what is it that you need to do? Do you need to, I'm not a big, like, let me ask permission for something. Like, if I need something, I'm going to figure it out. You know, if I need help with something like a coach or something, I'm going to get one. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to, you know, I am not afraid to ask for help. Mm-hmm. I also think that a lot of people sit because they're afraid of failure. Mm-hmm. But it's not that they're afraid of failure. They're afraid of other people seeing them fail.
Yeah.
Of other people seeing them fail. And you just got to get over that. Like, you got to get over it. And you just got to try. Right. And,
no one cares about you as much as you think.
Exactly. No one's looking. No one cares.
Refreshing your feed. No one is refreshing your blog. No one is keeping like you think. And if they are,
which is another reason why you have to get out, like, of your world. And because it's like, then you realize, oh, like, I'm alone in my house with my computer, and I think it's all, and I'm just working on my website, and it's all about, and it's like, it isn't. Like, no one cares. Go out in the world where nobody knows who you are, and, you know, live life.
So here's the thing. Walk it out. You fail. You lose all that money. You lose all that note, whatever it is that you're like death gripping. You lose all that. Then what? What are you going to do? Walk it out. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to move on with your life, and you're going to find something new, and you're going to forget that, and you're going to use that story to help other people later.
Yeah.
You can make it a winning fail. I mean, I get so fresh. That was one thing that would like make me boil when I used to coach, was that fear of failure talk, because it's a load of crap. It is a load of crap. You are not afraid of success either. You're not afraid of failure. You're afraid of what people will think. You're afraid
what people think.
That you might mess up, and then it's on a bigger scale.
Yep.
Someone was asking what to do if you follow your dreams and it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out. But also, the way I like to look at it, Katie, you may have heard me say this before. It has taught you something. It has given you a skill. It has given you something for the ultimate purpose. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that we have, you know, an ultimate purpose, and that it was woven inside of us when we were created. It is part of our DNA, and part of it is doing the work to unpack it. And I like to say that I look at my life as stepping stones. Mm-hmm. So I'm on a stepping stone right now. So here's the past. I'm on this stepping stone, and all the ones behind me are lit up. Mm-hmm. And all the ones in front of me are dark. And the one I'm standing on right now is like halfway lit. It's kind of dim. And when I look back, things years ago that I was like, why am I here? I can't tell you how many times I was like, why am I in the wedding industry? I don't understand. I don't know. Like, all these people, they know all the names of the flowers. They're going to die if they don't ever get to touch a flower again. I don't care. I don't want to know the names of the flowers. Like, I'm over it. I don't care. And I just felt like such a fraud. Sure, I had honed a craft for it and figured it out, like how to make something beautiful. But I was like, why am I here?
Yeah.
And then when I shared vulnerably about business and taught people through Business Behind the Blooms how to make money in business, then that made sense. And then sharing vulnerably and writing vulnerably about business prepared me to share vulnerably about my personal life. Mm-hmm. So all of those things have lined up to where I am right now. And it's like, oh, okay. And even like doing some small speaking engagements or the podcast, all of that has prepared me for the TED Talk that I'm doing next month. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of it, but at the time, I'm like, what am I doing this for? Like, what's this for? So you got to be able to look back and go, okay, I can see that. But while you're in it, it's not going to be lit up for you. And so you just have to trust that, that it's ultimately, you are where you're supposed to be, but then you also have to be responsible enough to know when it's time to shut that door, to open the next one, to step to the next stone. Yes. Or else you're just going to sit on the dim stone forever. And at some point, you do have to take the leap so you can get to the next stone. And you can't stay on both.
No. And
you got to go.
I understand that fear of, like, yes, I know what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. But when you're in the moment and you have those blinders on, is so terrifying. I remember, so the first issue of Cottage Hill, oh man, lots of debt, lots of loans, lots of money.
Yeah.
People like we had a lot of advertisers, which was awesome. But then I was like, oh, I gotta come through, and like I'm literally on my kitchen table figuring this out as I go.
Yeah.
And I remember one night I didn't sleep for like 3 years. Terrible. I remember one night I was in tears because I was like, I don't think I can do this. What if it doesn't, like, just freaking out. I go in our bedroom and I wake Nate up and I'm like crying and I'm like, I need hugs and I just don't know if I can do it. And I'm like, what if it doesn't work out? And he goes, I don't know. What if it doesn't work out? And I was like,
Right. What's the worst that can happen?
And he was like, what if we're in this crazy debt? Everyone thinks you are stupid to do this and it fails and it doesn't even go to print. Like, what are you going to do? And of course I like slammed the door and I was like, you don't love me. You know, it was a doctor. But I sat down and I walked through it and I was like, worst case scenario, I can figure it out. And if you are in the throes,
yes,
do that. But when you are a bit out of it, you have that, you know, perspective of, oh, I see. Like I always say, I believe in the whole purpose thing, but I believe it's a bit more macro in the sense of like, my purpose was not to be a magazine owner. I believe my purpose is about stories.
Yes.
And so I can be a storyteller writing a magazine. I can be a storyteller on Instagram about our life. I can be a storyteller, put my kids to sleep. To sleep. I can work my purpose no matter where I'm at. I don't have to have I don't have to have the things. So don't be afraid. If you know yourself, don't be afraid to pursue things that, I don't know, don't fit in the box. That's why I always say, like, don't get attached to the thing, get attached to the feeling and what it motivates you to do.
Yes.
And Nate, he loves Joe Rogan. And he's like, it's like Joe Rogan says, babe, your worst day is only your worst day. And, you know, like,
that's all it is.
It's not nothing is really as bad usually as it seems.
You really do have to like take a moment with your thoughts and go, what is the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Like I do that all the time. I'm like, okay, because I can think I'm like 6 months from now, like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen? And it's like, what, all you need to know is like right now you're good. Today you're good. You know, like the truth.
Do you remember, I don't remember if it was the first or this, I don't know. When I was on your podcast, we did the Y times 5. And I think I should have told you to do that. Well, do it sometime during your reset. So I did this thing called Y times 5.
I love this.
When people were like, I want a 6-figure business and be in Once Wed and blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
why?
Oh, why? And we would go through it 5 times. So like, I'll do it to myself. I want to publish this blog about our farm life and everything. Why? Because I have so much, like I literally feel like I'm going to boil over with ideas. I have to get it out somewhere. Like I have to. Well, why? Because this is number 3. Why? Why? Because if I don't, I feel like I'm going to get bitter about just sitting here, even though I know that's not what I'm doing. Like it's going to help alleviate that pressure. Why?
Yeah.
Because I want that, like what you just said about, I want to look at my kids and feel good being with them and not like, oh, I have another idea that I need to put in a journal to do 5 years from. Like, I feel like that pressure on the cooker can be let out so I can be more present with my kids. Why does that matter? Because I love them. They're the cutest things on earth and I want them to have a good life. And like, we live out here for a reason. I want them to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I want to get this blog published because I love my family.
Yes.
That's a good reason. So I'm going to figure out ways that work within this season to get it going. And it may take a few months, it may take a few weeks, but I'm moving.
Yes.
I'm not
exactly. Sick. Okay, I have just a couple of things I want to say. I know we've gone over and I need to wrap up, but
I don't think we're all still here. Hey guys. Hey guys, put questions down as we talk too, so we don't wrap up before you're not ready.
Yes, if you have questions, please ask. The other day I did an interview and I said something and somehow I said, I don't know, I just believed that I could. I just believed it. And she said, don't you think that's like the majority of it? I said, yeah. Like, I think honestly, that's like 90% of it, which goes back to the whole self-worth equals net worth thing. It's like, if you've got to get to a point where you have enough self-confidence that you really believe that you can achieve what you want to achieve, no matter what that is, whether that's, you know, being a best-selling author, or, writing a blog, or, being able to be present with your kids. Like, you've got to believe that you can do it. And if you don't believe it, if you're going to come from this like fixed mindset of, it's for everybody else, that's not for me, it's never going to happen. So I really do think that it kind of all boils down to doing whatever it is that you have to do to have enough self-worth and believe in yourself. It all starts there.
It ties in so much to your story, and like everyone's really who's accomplished anything that has felt impossible, because I remember when I first started coaching, affirmations were like really bad. I am a 6, whatever. And I just was like, if you can't back it up, it's a lie. Like, it's not an affirmation, it's a lie. So, for example, like, I was really overwhelmed with advertising with Cottage Hill. It was new to me. I felt like I was managing like crazy expectations, whatever. And my husband, I was social chair in my sorority. My husband was like, if you can handle a bus full of drunk college kids and get them all to line up and you can handle some advertisers. And I'm like, I can. Like, back it up. You want to start a business? But when have you ever like taken control of something, or, had the gumption to jumpstart something? Well, if you did that, you can do this too. If, you want to make money, there's a time where you didn't have money and you made more. Yeah, you can do it. Like, you did that. You worked at the kitchen place, and then you pulled up your bootstraps and you did the wedding. Like, that's how you believe in yourself. You look at your past and you affirm your affirmations.
Yeah.
And it makes all the difference. All of it. I'll tell people like oh, it'd be fun one day to do this and do that. And I know I could do it because I made a magazine. I can.
Yes.
And I was a ballet dancer, and I did not have the body or size for it. And I made it. Like, I know I can have.
Think about something you've done in your life that's really hard. I say that all the time about carrying twins. I can do anything because I carried twins. Anything.
Yes.
The other day, I was getting dry needling done because I've got all kinds of like back issues at the moment. And she goes, now this is going to hurt. And I go, it's not. I'm okay. I carried twins. Like, I can handle it. Like, I don't know. That's just like my mantra.
Yeah.
So think of something you did that's really hard and know, like, you've already seen the bottom. Okay. So what is there to fear? You've already seen the bottom. Listen, this has been really great. I don't think we have any more questions, but I have so enjoyed this.
Me too.
And I know that you've got babies to get back to.
I got an hour and a half left.
Oh, yeah. Go get some you time.
No, more coffee.
It's the best kind of time. I'm going to stay on here for just a sec and talk to them a little bit more about my reset, because I've gotten a lot of DMs about it. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes to talk about that. But this has been great.
I guess I just exhaled.
Oh, yeah. I don't know either. I guess you just like leave.
I haven't done this in so long. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining. Thanks for having me, Jessica.
You're the best.
Do it again.
Bye, Katie. We'll talk soon. Thank you. Okay, guys, for those of you that are still here, I just want to share with you that, and this happened this morning, like, there's something about when I do finally decide to like do one of these or talk to you guys and I go, I want to do this a little bit more. So I decided to do a free workshop on Wednesday, and it's going to be via Zoom. So I've never done this before, but it's going to be via Zoom, and I'm going to be able to see you and you can see me, and we can talk back and forth to each other. So it won't be webinar style, but I'd love to just share with you what I've been doing for my reset. And then if you guys have any questions, then I'm there to answer them. So there's that. And then if you feel, one of the things that I do when I am down or when I need something, which, by the way, you can go to the link in my bio and you can sign up for that. It's totally free. It's going to be Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central. And if you can't come, we'll send you a replay link. But one of the things that I mentioned this with Katie, if I know I need something, like, I'm going to do it. And there have been, I think 3 or 4 times over the past year where I have hired somebody to talk to for an hour. And, I've talked with different coaches that I have needed, and it has helped me and given me a lot of clarity. I have not opened up my one-on-one coaching in a long time, but I'm going to do that for the next 6 weeks. So if you would like to, you know, carry on this conversation one-on-one and really dig deep into what you're struggling with, I would love to help you with that. So you can go to the link in my bio, and for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to offer that. You can just schedule a time right there. So I'd love to see you at the free workshop. I'd love to chat with you one-on-one, and do a coaching call with you. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you guys found this helpful. I'd love to hear from you. Message me. I'm checking the DMs. So that's about it, guys. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for coming. Bye.